Alright, so I'll start. Ladies and gentlemen, what our stance in this debate is, as I clearly brought out in my POI, as ridiculous as it might sound initially, is that we believe that the student and the university has equal ownership over the work, and that neither should be required to take permission from the other person before utilizing that work. That is the stance that we are going to prove here today. Now, firstly, let's look at what they said. They have given two needs. One, the need of the student to feel good about the ownership of his work. He spoke about that being the first priority, that they are not motivated by money. Let's look under our stance, right? That ownership does still exist if it is a work of the student. The university does not take it away because of the nature of the work itself. Both people have it in their minds. Both people have ownership. The university needs to cite the student as per law, but it does not require the permission of the student in order before using it, ladies and gentlemen, because it is a work that is available to the university, which is also owned by the university, just like an either or account instead of a joint account, right? Secondly, what we are telling you regarding the things of professors taking away undue credit and having a move of pre-consent and post-consent. Firstly, pre-consent already exists. That's the existing system. If you enter into a contract with a company so that the company gets to keep your word or the terms of sharing is predetermined, that's already there. What they're adding on is a post-content. That in case no pre-consent has been taken place, in case there is no a priori agreement, even then the university must take the permission of the student before he uses the work. Right. So now comes my first constructive. Why the university should not be required to take consent from the student? We feel one. They have told you a lot of ways. In fact, I was going to tell you how the university has contributed to the development of the student. Largely, there are three counts. Firstly, the infrastructure that has been provided by the university. Secondly, the learning that has taken place of the researcher while staying in the university. Thirdly, in terms of the grants that he has received, maybe on the basis of the brand of the top university and things like that. So these were all services that are provided to the student, right, from the university. Even when the university is paying, even when the student is paying fees and studying in a university, he is basically providing the fee for the service of learning and not for the ownership of the work per se. So whatever work comes out is a joint ownership between the student and the university, and they both have ownership over it. Now, coming on to the next part, why should this ownership be exercised in the manner that we are proposing and not their way? We feel that it should be exercised because the nature of knowledge as an abstract concept. It is indivisible. Knowledge is indivisible, unlike money or a car or two cars or anything like that, right? Both have fine.
Just a basic question. You get to publish in one journal and you can't repeat that publication elsewhere. The first person to file the patent gets ownership of the patent. You can't then do it second time. So who gets to make these determinations? You have to have some degree of answer.
Yes, we do have a degree of answer. In case there is commercial use, we're going to come to it later, because as we said, money is a minor point. In case of commercial usage, again, no consent, but any commercial benefit being derived out of it needs to be shared with the other person because there is no ownership in it, right? So if a university sells certain technology or a knowledge which the student himself has not yet chosen to sell, mind you, right? The student is choosing not to do anything with it. The university goes and sells it. The company gets a certain X amount of money. He has to give half the money to the student, or whatever proportion it can be determined in terms of the contribution, right? So the monetary aspect can be taken care of in that particular manner. As such, coming on to the nature of the knowledge, right? It is indivisible in terms of whether the knowledge, if it's in my head, it's in my head. If I know for a certain amount that, let's say, cigarette smoking is harmful, and that was the outcome of the research, right? And Yaman found that out also. Or think of the institution as a college, right? So we both have that knowledge and we both can choose to use that knowledge to stop smoking cigarettes, for that matter. But you cannot say that I need to take his permission before I make use of that knowledge. That is in effect what he is saying. Because that if you think of the university as an individual, and if you look at individual autonomy over what knowledge has been perceived by any turning in the paper or in any particular way, I now have that knowledge and I can choose to use it given that I have acquired it legitimately, that it is in the process of me providing certain services to the student while the student was also providing certain services to me. Now let's look at the harms that are going to be accrued. We have told you two minor benefits. One, the sense and symbolism, which we have told you how it can be preserved even in our case. And secondly, regarding the compensation, how that can be handled. Even though they said it's a very minor point, they seem to be very literally about it right now. Anyway, regarding the harms of the move. So we are telling you that the harms of the move are much greater. These are the top universities, yes. They are known for their research, yes. So what is going to be the obvious effect of this move? The university, firstly, what's going to happen is more and more hurdles are going to come into place for this university to use that research. The researcher or the student might block and not give the consent, right? Why would he not do that? Out of selfish interest, out of many other things, out of maybe even trivial reasons, because he's out of the country, God knows what goddamn reasons. But there can be a lot of hurdles that can arise. It's going to slow down the process of the university in utilizing that research. Not now. In utilizing that research. So now, what goes on after that? Because there are hurdles, there is a gradual systematic decline in the interest of these universities to engage in research. Now, what's the next thing? The focus of the universities is then not on the research. They do not have any incentive to, not now, they do not have, they now have a disincentive to invest more and more capital into research and for more work to come out. Because now they know they cannot use that particular research without the consent. It is now contingent on the consent of the student over here, and if the student does not give consent, that work is basically lost to the university as a whole. They have no right over it. What you are doing is taking away the ownership to basically kind of a rental agreement for the university, right? You are making the university a tenant of the student, and we feel that that is not a case. It's basically a shared house. Both can live in it, come to live in it whenever they come to, whenever they feel like coming and living it. So basically, the next stage of this harm of the systematic decline of the universities is that when the focus goes away from the research, also their ability to disseminate this information, to share it with other researchers, to use it for even social benefits and other particular moves goes away. And it's not just that these results are used for commercial viability. Most of the research on arts, most of the research on non-scientific and technology aspects, they are used for social betterment, for making policies, for making government decisions, and those kind of things. Even the technology ones that are there are done over a long period of time. So there is no short-term monetary benefit attracting the researchers as Pranay was talking about. That's also not a real benefit, right? So basically, the biggest harm over here that the university goes into a systematic decline in terms of the research output, and they have less incentive to do so, and the work is not disseminated enough and shared with other researchers. Therefore, we believe these are extremely huge harms, while the benefit of this either can be taken care of in our system or there is no actual thing because people are not attracted to it. Thank you.